Hello and welcome to Build Series Live in New York City. I'm your host, Lori Moraski with HuffPost. This critically acclaimed band formed in 1994, releasing their debut, AM, a year later. Many albums followed, including the Grammy-winning A Ghost Is Born. And now the group is out with a new single, Love Is Everywhere, Beware, and is readying the release of a new album called Ode to Joy this fall. Please put your hands together for Jeff Tweedy and Nels Cline of Wilco. You all are in for a really great treat today because not only are we sitting down with these two, but they also have a performance in store for us. So we're really excited about that. And happy to have you both here. So thanks for coming by.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, you have a lot going on, but I just have to ask, how are you? Like, how are you guys feeling? Are you excited about this new music? Nervous?
I wasn't nervous until the intro music started a few seconds ago.
It's a jolt of energy, right?
Yeah,
it wakes you up.
It was, yeah, I wasn't prepared for that. But we're good. I got a full night's rest. I'm prepared. Nels is home, so.
Yeah, this is your home, right? You live here, and you're in Chicago.
That's true.
Yeah. All right. Well, I got a little taste of the new music, and including the song. It's excellent.
Oh, thank you.
You said that who needs more Wilco music, right? No one needs more Wilco music. You had said, but here we are.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you could say that about almost anything, artistically. But that's not the point, I suppose, of making stuff and putting it out into the world. But a band that's been around for a long time, it was more of that concept was more a way to motivate ourselves to try a little bit harder to make something meaningful to us, to not just reconfirm an audience, not just be making a record to make a record to go tour or something. It's like we want to be serious about it.
Is what motivates you now the same thing that motivated you both as when you're growing up and when you've been playing all these years?
Yes.
And what is it? Like, what's the drive there behind it?
It's the love of sound and song. It's simple in that way.
What about you, Jeff?
Yeah, I feel very much like the teenage version of myself. I get inspired by a lot of other music, a lot of people making music. Can't wait to find new stuff, and for myself, I have more energy for it because I've kind of managed to organize my life in a way where I get to really go to work every day and do this. So that's what I love to do. Yeah,
for fans that don't know, I mean, you really have your studio, the loft, in your house, right?
Well, it's not in my house, but it's walking distance.
It's walking distance. So how does that work for you? I hear that you're in the studio quite a bit, and how did that work for this new album?
Well, I mean, I think it's I just go to work every day, and I don't have any hobbies. So, I mean, it's kind of, if I had a hobby, it would be making songs up, probably. Yeah. So I kind of get to go do that, and I guess it affects the new record in that by the time Wilco all convenes to start work on a record, I've managed to kind of piece together a lot of material for us to kind of pick from. So I think that helps.
Sure. So when you get into the fold now, it's like, how do you add your guitar parts, and how does that all come together for fans?
Well, there's no one way that it happens, but basically, in this case, with this new record, it's exactly as Jeff described. He had a lot of material, and he still has, always has a lot of material to choose from, and we listened to everything and just kind of, as a group, decided which ones we could add something to make it not necessarily just a Wilco song, but something where we felt it was possibly going to be different, because so many of the pieces that we listen to sound amazing. So we feel sometimes like we can't make them better. Yeah. So, and Jeff had some open-ended, sort of sketchy unfinished things to listen to and some things that sounded really well-rounded. But in my case, it's once we all decided what we were going to work on, then there's no formula, because the songs are different, and Jeff sometimes can extract things out of me that I didn't plan on doing on these songs by just guiding my decision making and encouraging certain areas and then sort of suggesting new ones, and that's usually what ends up being my part. It's not very often something where I just throw my magic fairy dust on and everyone goes, awesome, Nels, okay, you know, thanks so much, see you later. You know, it doesn't work like that. It's a little bit more of a circuitous route and a satisfying one.
Now, with this album, you said that you were inspired by the political climate right now, and in some ways.
And inspired is such a strange word to use.
Put it together. Well, yeah, finding some joy, ode to joy in these times.
No, I didn't want to comment directly on the moment we're in politically, our overall national climate of. I think it's a fairly disturbing one for most of the people that I spend a lot of time with. And at the same time, I thought that making a record without there being any kind of reference to that would be sort of dishonest. So I think it's more there in the way the drums are recorded and the way that the sonic landscape of the record is a little disturbing, in spite of there being some pop songs and you know, a sensitivity to one's, you know, more personal type of feelings, not about the world at large, which is, I think, an important thing for everybody to concern themselves with is self-care. You can't weigh your troubles against the world's troubles all the time. I think you should be a good neighbor, and you should be a good citizen, and you should be willing to work and sacrifice to help other people and strangers and people you don't know. But you're not going to be of much use to anyone if you aren't taking care of yourself as well. And to me, that means preserving the part of you that's able to experience joy, and preserving the part of you that's able to I don't know, have friendships, I don't know. I don't think, whatever that is that we're not going to address directly, I don't think it deserves our friendships. I don't think it deserves our families. I don't think it deserves our art. I don't think it deserves that amount of energy, even though it's impossible not to feel it on a daily basis. You know?
Yeah, I think that was well said. I mean, how did you channel that into the first single, Love Is Everywhere, Beware, and how did that sort of create that, with that vision?
I think that song probably actually started somewhere around the first Women's March after the inauguration. Because I remember feeling very uplifted by the experience of marching with hundreds of thousands of people and feeling unalone, or feeling like there's a connection, and that there were people paying attention also and being upset about the same things. And at the same time, I also had a panic attack that day that this is not going to be enough. And that was, so that's what that song's kind of about, is like, is this going to be enough? And ultimately, I don't think it is. Just to reconfirm that we have privilege and that we're okay, and I think it's gonna require some sacrifice that a lot of people are going to be challenged to commit to.
Sure. I mean, it's been a long couple of years, that's for sure. Because you think about the Women's March, I was just, seems like yesterday, but it's been a few years now, a couple of years now. These are big, you're describing these as big folk songs. I mean, can you talk a little bit about, I mean, is that new? People, I mean, I've been following your career for a long time. I mean, some albums are more experimental, some might say, but how would you describe this album compared to, sound-wise, your previous, and maybe about your evolution as a band?
Well, I mean, I think I think the most accurate term for almost anything I write is that it's probably rooted most in folk music and a folk song, and I write on an acoustic guitar. And a lot of Wilco records, I think, take those songs and we try to make pop songs and rock songs out of them. I think on this record, we, for the most part, what I think we were going for was to make the folk song still be pretty evident, and at the same time create a monolithic, sort of brutal structure underneath it, which is an accurate depiction of how I feel right now. I feel like I'm singing about my feelings when there are kids in cages. You know, I think that's a tough thing to adjust yourself to as an artist, and that was the best I could do to comment on it without, like I said, giving them too much. I don't want to give them as much of that energy as I mean, I am right now, but but you don't understand what I'm saying.
Yeah, absolutely. When you guys, I mean, you referenced a little bit about your previous albums. When you're out on the road and you are going out on tour, you're playing Newport Folk Festival this weekend. They're playing 2 shows here in New York in the fall. Are there songs that you play? Because I know fans love to hear this. Like that, it's just like, okay, this is the song every night, no matter what. This is the song that really gets me for both of you, or that I really, it's always a hit for me. We'll start with you, Nels.
Well, it's a really good question, because a lot of my favorites we don't play very often. Only because they're really quiet.
Yeah.
You know, songs like Solitaire, for example. And I like a lot of the Woody Guthrie lyric material, which I didn't play on those records, but and songs like, you know, When the Roses Bloom Again and One by One, I really like playing those. But then we never play Kicking Television, which I really like. As far as the songs that we play all the time, I don't tire of them. You know, I haven't gotten tired of any of the. There aren't that many songs that we play every night, to be honest. There's this one called Impossible Germany that gets played a lot, and that's a big old guitar solo song, which has been this amazing and kind of a surprise ritual. It's like a blessing and a burden, you know. What am I going to do tonight? But I still love the song, and I still love the song Jesus, etc. And that gets played almost every night, and that's a beautiful song. So I don't know. I have no complaints. It's just hard to fit all the songs into an entertaining set, perhaps. And you know, Jeff cares a lot about the set and works on the set list every day that we're out, and we want to, you know, get that uplift going, get the blood pumping, not just sort of have a po-faced sit down. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So although I'd be fine with that once in a while at least, it's just hard to play those quiet songs in big places sometimes. And that's,
well, we have
that's
so
my only
many
thing.
of them. We still put a fair amount of quiet songs in the set, I think, from night to night. But yeah, it is. I mean, I'm singing them, so you don't look at the audience. I watch people get up and go to the bathroom, and I'm like, I don't have the fortitude to endure that every night. So,
Very good point, Jeff.
Well, actually, Impossible Germany was playing as you guys were walking out.
Thought I recognized.
Yeah, right. I think that's one of my songs. What about you? Is it what's the song for you, or among the songs?
Oh, I honestly don't. I don't really feel like I think like that. I feel like for me to be able to perform the way I would like to perform in front of an audience, I have to kind of be excited about every song and be in the moment with each song as it comes up. And so I guess occasionally, we just put a couple of new songs in the set at our festival. And so those were songs I looked forward to. But on a night-to-night basis, I mean, there are moments in every song I look forward to. Like in Impossible Germany, I look forward to Nels' solo every night. And I look forward to this sort of circuit that gets completed with an audience that seems to be almost infallible when it gets to the apex of his solo, and the 3 guitar part that kind of comes in is I don't know. It just keeps working. I keep being surprised that it keeps working in front of an audience and people. It generates so much energy, and it's all musical. It's all being generated by some musical thing that we figured out how to do, and it's not by a flash pot or
Right.
some strobe lights or something. And so I guess I would say that that's a pretty exciting thing to look forward to each night.
Okay, great. Well, we can't wait to see you guys on tour this fall. One question before I hit some audience questions. Curb Your Enthusiasm. Are you going to be performing, appearing? What's the deal on this television show?
I'm not authorized to confirm or deny that rumor.
Okay, I had to ask. All right, well, we have a question.
My life is Curb Your Enthusiasm, though. That's pretty. I have a lot of run-ins myself, so.
Such a realistic show. All right, so we have a Twitter question here from Jay Hayes 88. This is for Jeff. How was your experience being on Parks and Recreation? Has your experience on the show expanded your fan base or impacted your success?
I don't know if it's expanded our fan base or my fan base, or I recently went on a hike with Nick Offerman. I did, and people that hike is really his demographic. And it was not necessarily mine, so a lot of people came up to him and talked about his show, and they totally neglected me, even though it's my show too. So doesn't seem to have helped.
Well, thanks for that great question. All right, who's first in the audience? Right here.
Hey guys, long-time listener, first-time caller here.
Interesting.
Yeah, so I've been raised on Wilco, basically becoming a fan as an early teenager, 15 years old. I'm instantly drawn to the lyrics of what I thought I understood at 15.
Mm-hmm.
I'm about the only one that stuck as far, far away through that time, through the person who introduced me to Wilco.
Mm-hmm.
So my thing is, as I've grown and evolved and matured, the lyrics have changed for me, the meanings, the placings, the soundtracks. How about for you guys? Has the meanings from the initial meanings that you've written changed and evolved or grown throughout it, or is it still tied to those memories?
Well, I mean, to stay connected to a song, I have to find a way into singing it every night. So I'm sure that they've changed, but it's not something that I'm charting or I don't know. I honestly don't know if I guess if I listen to the record, I'd maybe be able to hear a little bit more of what my mindset was at the time. But most of the songs that Wilco plays, we continue to play them, and we've played them over a long period of time. And so they're kind of living daily conversations we have with an audience. And they don't really change that much in their appearance or the way they sound. But for me, I guess on any given day, a different lyric might mean more to me. I've noticed that change over lots of different periods in my life. When my mother died, when like all sort of traumatic events, certain lyrics will become more meaningful, and I react to them, I think, in the same way that maybe a listener might. That sometimes it hits you, sometimes it doesn't. But for the most part, I'm happy that they continue to be something I feel comfortable singing.
Thanks for that question.
Thank you.
All right, who's next? Right here.
Hi, my name is Anna. I've been a Wilco fan since birth, basically. My question is, in what ways do you musically influence your sons?
Well, our sons, my wife ran a rock club in Chicago called Lounge Acts. So they were born into an environment where they spent most of their time around musicians, and not just their father, but all of our friends and people that create. And I think that more than any specific task I've set out for myself to educate them, has made them both very sensitive listeners and and I don't know, creative people, but I didn't set out to make like a band. I'm like, I'm gonna grow a band.
All right, thanks for that question. I think we have time for one more question here, right here.
We practiced that handoff.
Oh,
Jeff, hey, my name is Joe. Nels,
Joe.
how you doing? My wife and I just got back from Solid Sound, 4th time. It's such a great experience.
thank you.
So the question I have for you is, assuming you do it again in 2 years, what's your timing and process for planning such an incredible event and coordinating everything? How does that work?
Well, the second one of them ends, which Solid Sound just ended. We take a breather, and then really, I think in the not too distant future, we'll start accumulating suggestions from everybody in the band, everybody in the organization for ideas of how we can make it better, bands that we want to approach, ideas for a unique way to present the band on Friday night. We try and do a one-of-a-kind performance on the first night. You know, there are practical things we try and address, like what were the water lines like? Can we get rid of plastic bottles? Or, you know, all kinds of nuts and bolts things. But it starts pretty quickly after one ends.
Thank you. Interesting.
Thank you.
Thanks for that question. And thanks, guys, for coming by today. Do not leave because we have a great performance coming up. But I just want to let you guys know, Love is Everywhere, Beware. The single is out now. And Ode to Joy, the album comes out October 4th. Give it up one more time for Wilco.